Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another video of Python for Excel users. Uh, in previous video, we discussed some methods which are used in Python. We discussed how we can use methods to change the case of a text. We saw how we can count a specific letter in a string. How can we replace uh, a specific letter with another letter in a string, or a specific character with another character in a string. Then we saw what are variables, how can we assign variable to values, and then uh, how can we work around with variables. Variables can be strings, variables can be numbers, floats, and integers, and how we can combine more than one variables using plus sign, how we can perform mathematical operations on variable where variables are integers or floats, and how we can use f string to uh, combine variables or strings. We saw that how we can use plus sign to combine variables and how we can use f string to combine variables. Now we will discuss list. We will see what are lists in Python, how we can create list, and what are indexing in list, and how we can obtain specific items or elements from list based on indexing. So let's begin. Uh, what are lists in Python? Lists are basically another data type which are very useful in data analysis. And we can say that lists are basically variables that are used to store more than one values, or that are used to store lists of values or multiple values. So let's see how we can create list. We use a square bracket method to create list, and inside the square brackets, we enlist the elements of list and separate each element of list using comma sign between them. And lists are basically order and mutable containers, which means that the elements of list can change their values. And one more thing, that lists can have elements of different data types. That is, one element of list can be a string, another element can be a float, another element can be an integer, and so on. So lists can also have different data type. So let's see how we can create list by using a square bracket method. So let's move to Python or Jupyter Notebook, and let's create a list using a square bracket method. So let's say that I want to create a list of names of 5 countries. So I'll use square bracket, and since names are strings, so each name will be enclosed in quotes, whether it be single quote or double quote. So let's use single quote, and the first country be India, and the second country be China, the third country be Afghanistan, The fourth country be Iran. The fifth country be Iraq, and the sixth country be Pakistan. So I used square bracket method to create a list, and I separated each element of list using comma. And since I'm creating a list of countries or neighboring countries of Pakistan, let's say, and since countries are names, so these are strings, so I am enclosing each name in single quote. I can also use double quote, but uh, and double quote is basically preferred method, because if any name contains an apostrophe sign, then all the elements after that apostrophe sign will not be recognized as a string if I'm going to use single quote method. But here I don't have any apostrophe in any name, so I'm using single quote. However, using double quotes is preferred method. So when I run this, I'll get the names of the list or names of the countries that I assigned. So I created a list. So let's name this list. And as we have already seen how we create variables, so list will be named similarly or in similar manner. I'll use an equals to sign, and let's say the name of the list be neighboring countries. So I'm using NEIGHBOURING, neighboring countries. Since variables do not have space, so I'm not using any space between neighboring countries. I'm using it as a single, I'm typing it as a single word. So it's neighboring countries. Now when I run this, the result has disappeared, which means that the list has been stored in this name, which is neighboring countries. And in order to get the list, I'll have to call this list by using its name, which is neighboring countries without any space. So let me just copy it from here, copy and paste and run. Now when I ran this, I got the list, and it's the name of neighboring countries of Pakistan. Uh, so these are the list. We already discussed that list can have data types of different elements of different data types. Uh, One more thing is that list can also have duplicate values. For example, in this list, if I repeat China 2 times after Pakistan, so it's city. However, when I run this, I will get, I ran this here, it is saved. Now when I run this, neighboring countries, I'll get the duplicate values too. So it shows that lists can also have duplicate values. Uh, so let me just clear the duplicate value, run this again, and run this too again. Now I am back to the original list which I created. Now, what if I want a specific element of a list or a specific element from this list, and I don't want all the names to be shown from this list. For example, if I only want the name of Afghanistan from the list, so how can I get only Afghanistan from that list? So if I want to obtain a specific element from a list, I'll have to use indexing. And indexing represents the position of that specific element in the list. And if I use that specific index, I can get only that specific name from the list. One thing to be noted that Python use zero-based indexing, which means that so my network was interrupted between the recording, so I will repeat from obtaining specific elements from the list. We were discussing how we can get a specific element from a list. To obtain that specific element from the list, we have to use index or indexing. And what an index is basically the position of that element in the list. Index represents the position of the element or of that specific element in the list. Python uses zero-based indexing, which means that the first element of the list has an index 0, the second element has an index 1, the third element will have an index 2, and so on. So if we want a specific element from a list, we have to call that element by its name. So let's see how we can do this. So let's go back to the Python or Jupyter Notebook. So we are back on Python. So what if I want only Afghanistan, only the name of Afghanistan from the list? So I can do this by using indexing. And as already told, that Python uses zero-based indexing, which means that the first element of the list will have an index 0, the second element will have an index 1, the third element will have an index 2, and so on. So let's see what is the index number of Afghanistan in this list. So the first element India 0, the second element China 1, the third element Afghanistan will have an index 2. So how we will call this? By using index. So in order to get the name of Afghanistan, we will type the name of the list. Neighboring, let me check the spelling. Neighboring, okay. Countries, same as defined, okay. Then I will open the square bracket, and inside the square bracket, I will mention the index of the country which I want in the output. So the index of Afghanistan in the given list is 2 because Python is based on zero-based indexing. So the index of Afghanistan will be 2. So when I type 2 inside the bracket, I'll run this, I will get Afghanistan. So I got the name of third country which has an index 2, and here I have the result, Afghanistan. So I can also sort the name of the countries based on indexing, or say I can get the names of the countries in any order based on indexing. I can sort the list in any order based on indexing. I can sort the list starting from the first element of the list to the last element of the list. In that case, I will use zero-based indexing. That is, I will specify the name of the country from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So let's see. If I want to list the name in the order they are appearing in the list, It is from first element to last element. I will come back here, and if I want the name of first country, the index of that country is 0, and that country is India. When I run this, I'll get India. Now edit this again. I will copy the name of the list, which is neighboring countries, and to get the second element, inside the square bracket, I will type 1. When I run this, I'll get the second country from the list. Again, I'll copy the name of the list. Inside the square bracket, I will get the next country, which has an index 2. When I run this, I'll get that name. And again, I will copy the name of the list. Inside the square bracket, I will give the index of the next country, which is 3, and that is Iran. Again, I will copy the name of the list. Inside the square bracket, I will give the index of the next country. When I'll run this, I'll get next country. Again, I will add another line, copy the name of the list. Inside the square bracket, I will give the index of the next country, which is 5. And when I run this, I'll get that name, that's Pakistan. Now I can see that when I'm running all these commands in a single cell, I am only getting the result of last command. What if I want the names of all these countries in the same order? I did previously too. I used print function. So here I'll also use print function and enclose all these lines inside print function. So let's edit this. I'll come back to this print, and inside parentheses, I'll enclose this whole expression. I'll do this with all the remaining lines. And let's wait some time. So next line, the same with the next line. Print, and inside parentheses, enclose the entire expression. The same with the other lines. Print, inside parentheses, enclose the entire expression. Next line, print. Okay. Functions are case sensitive, so beware. Don't use any capital letter, or where the function has capital letter, don't use a small letter. So print has small letters, all the letters of the print are small. So I enclosed all the lines inside print function, and now when I run this, I'll get the names of all the countries in the order starting from the first position to the last position. So I ran this and I got all the countries starting from the first position to the last position. India is on first position here in the list 2. China is on the second position here. It is on second position. Afghanistan on the third position here. Afghanistan is on third position. Iran, Iran, Iraq, Iraq, Pakistan, Pakistan. So I got the names listed in the order starting from the first country to the last country. I can also get the names of the countries starting from the last position, the first position. In that case, I'll use negative indexing. In that case, where I'm using negative indexing to list the countries from last position to first position, the index number of the last position will be -1. Similarly, the index number or the index number of the second last element of the list will be -2. The third last element of the list will have an index -3, and so on. So let's see how I can do this. Let me edit the same list, or let's use another list. Let's redo this using negative indexing method. So if I want the names of the country is starting from the last position to first position, I will use the same method. I will type the name of the list, which is neighboring countries, NEIGHBOURING neighboring countries, and inside parentheses, I will give a negative index of the element of last position of the list, which is Pakistan, and it will have an index -1. So when I run this, I'll get Pakistan. Now the second last element, copy the name of the list, and inside bracket, square bracket, second last index of second last element is -2. When I'll run this, I'll get second last element. Now add another line, copy the name of the list, inside square bracket, the index of the third last element, -3. Run this, I'll get the name of the third last element. Add another line, copy the name of the list, inside square bracket, the fourth last element, index of the fourth last element of the list, -4. Run this, I'll get the name of the fourth last element. Now again, copy the name of the list, inside the square bracket, index of the fifth last element of the list. Run this, I'll get China, and again, add another line, copy the name of the list, inside square bracket, index of the sixth last position, sixth last element of the list, which is -6. I'll run this, I'll get India, and this is also the first element of the list, so I can't go beyond that. Now again, I can see that if I'm giving more than one command inside single cell, I'm only getting the result of last command. So in order to get all the names listed in the order, reverse order, I'll enclose all these expressions inside print function. So let's do this. Print parentheses and enclose the entire expression inside the parentheses. Do the same with other lines. So print inside parentheses, enclose the entire expression. Next line again, print inside parentheses and to enclose the entire expression. Again, the next line, inside parentheses, enclose the entire expression. Again, print inside parentheses, enclose the entire expression. Again, the next line, print inside parentheses, enclose the entire expression. Now, while I run this, I'll get the names of the list or names of the elements of the list starting from the last position or last element of the list to the first element of the list. So that's how we can sort list in any order, or we can change the index to get in random order. For example, after the last element, let's say I type here -3, I type here -4, I type here -6, -5, and here -2. And when I run this, I'll get the names in the order which I specified. It can be a random order too. So I can do the same with zero-based indexing too, where I'm getting the name from first name to last name. I can shuffle these sequences too, and I can get the names in random order here too. So that's how we can generate the element of the list or get the elements of the list in any order. We can get from first element to last element. We can get from last element to first element using zero-based indexing, or we can also get the names in random order based on zero-based indexing as well or negative indexing as well. So now let's see what we can do more with list. So we can also do slicing with list. What is slicing? If we take a piece of cake and cut it into pieces, a single piece is a slice of the cake. Similarly, if we want specific elements from a list or larger list, or we only want certain parts of the list to be accessed, so that part of a list or those specific elements of list are called slice. Or let's put it another way. If we break a list into smaller subsets, those subsets are called the slices of the list. So slicing is a process of breaking a bigger list into smaller elements or smaller subsets or slices. To slice a list, we type the name of the list and we have to give arguments inside square brackets, and those arguments are a starting point and ending point. So we write the name of the list and we type the index of the starting element is start and stop. Argument start and stop. The argument start represents the index number of the element from which we want to start the slicing of our list. And stop is the index of the element at which we want to stop our slicing without including that element in that slice, which means that the index number of the last element will not be displayed in the slice of the list which we want to generate. So let's come back to the Python or Jupyter Notebook and let's see how we can do slicing. So here we are again back on slicing on Jupyter Notebook or Python. And in order to slice a list, we have to type the name of the list, which is neighboring countries, and inside a square bracket, we have to give argument, and that argument is the index of the starting element of the list and the index of the element at which we want to stop the slicing, and without including that element of the list. So let's see if we want to get 3 names from the list, and let's say we want China, Afghanistan, and Iran. We want these 3 elements, or we want to slice these 3 names from the entire list. So in the start position, we will give the index number of China. Based on zero-based indexing, the index number of China will be 1 because the first element has an index 0 and China is second element and it will have an index 1. So the argument start will be index number 1. So, and if we want to generate the names from China to Iran, so in the stop position, we will have to specify the index number of Iraq because the index number of the stop element will not be included in the list. So if we want Iran in list, then we'll have to use the index number of Iraq so that the slicing will stop at Iraq without including that name, and the last name of the slice will be Iran. So let's see what is the index number of Iraq in this list. Based on zero base, India has 0, China has 1, Afghanistan has 2, Iran has 3, and Iraq has 4. So the stop argument will be the index number 4. And now when we run this, we'll get the names of the slice of the names from China to Iran. So we got the list sliced and we got the 3 desired name from China to Iran. What if we want to slice a list from a specific index till the end? Or if you want to continue, if we want to slice a list from, let's say, Afghanistan, slice this list from Afghanistan and continue till end. In that case, if you want to continue the slicing till end, we don't need to specify the stop index in the argument. So let's see. Let's do this again. Copy the name of the list and inside the square bracket give the argument. And this time we want to generate the list or we want to slice the list from Afghanistan till end. So we will only give the start index, which will be the index number of Afghanistan. And in that case, the index number of Afghanistan is 2 because the first element has index 0, the second element has index 1. Afghanistan is third element, therefore it will have an index 2. So in slicing command, we will, in the argument, we will give the start index as 2, we'll give semicolon, and we won't specify the stop index because we want to continue or we want to slice this list from the third element till end. So if you want the list sliced till end, we don't have to specify the stop index. So let's run this. When we'll run this, we'll get the names sliced from Afghanistan till end. So that's all for today. In this video, we discussed what are lists, how we can create list, how we can sort list from start to end, from end to start, what is indexing, what is zero-based indexing, what is negative indexing. In the next video, we'll continue with list and we'll see how we can add new elements in list, how we can remove elements from list, how we can copy list, and more functions we can apply on list. So that's all for today. Allah Hafiz. Thank you for watching.